Welcome to KPMG's Dynamic Risk Assessment, developed by a KPMG team of data scientists, mathematicians, and economists. It's an evolution in risk assessment that applies actuarial theories, sophisticated algorithms, mathematics, and advanced data and analytics together in a KPMG proprietary methodology to identify, connect, and visualize risk in 4 dimensions. We like to think that economic stability is the norm. But in fact, history shows us it is the exception. You might remember your economics professor talking about Bretton Woods. Only in the Bretton Woods era, from around 1950 to 1970, did macroeconomic stability reign. This followed the historic meeting, where world economic leaders agreed on the first fully negotiated monetary order, which was characterized by fixed exchange rates, tied to the value of gold for everyone. But then the world moved away from this standard. Markets were deregulated and the move towards globalization commenced, accelerated by advances in communications, containerization, and the internet. The period of macroeconomic stability had passed. Globalization led to increased connectedness and the emergence of systemic risk. Suddenly, the more we traded and communicated with each other, in other words, the more globally connected we became, the more vulnerable we were becoming to each other's risks and structural weaknesses. That is the reason why so many were caught off guard by the global financial crisis. Today's world is highly interconnected and volatile, dominated by new technology and emerging business models. The past may no longer be a guide to the future. Today's risks combine, they spill over into each other. They don't appear neatly in separate compartments, with the result that we no longer have the luxury of dealing with them as singular events and threats. For this reason, we need to advance beyond historical risk analyses, which have been two-dimensional, analyzing only expected probability and estimated severity. We have reached a tipping point where traditional two-dimensional risk management methodologies that assess risks individually as singular threats may for certain entities potentially miss key critical dimensions of risks that can escalate in significance in an increasingly complex and globally interconnected environment. We need to bring a third, even a fourth dimension to bear, contagion risk and velocity, in order to understand and identify potential risks in our deeply interconnected world. This is what dynamic risk assessment does. Dynamic risk assessment rebalances our assessment of risk by analyzing the potential interconnectedness and velocity of business risks. This helps us to understand systemic risk, how it might spread, and how it could impact your business and our order. Dynamic risk assessment can provide valuable insights into the interconnected consequences of risks on the audits of systemically exposed organizations. Dynamic risk assessment applies an extensive combination of graph theory, the science of expert elicitation, actuarial modeling, sophisticated mathematics, and financial mathematical algorithms, advanced data and analytics, accounting science, and expert assessments. Applied in combination, the result is an objective view of the significant interconnected threats facing your business and the most efficient ways to mitigate the risks. In fact, dynamic risk assessment provides new levels of risk assessment insights by identifying and focusing on the most significant risks, not only the individual risks, but also how the risks could be expected to interact with each other and compound their collective consequences. These insights improve the efficiency of mitigation controls by obtaining an understanding of the dynamic interaction of risks, and their mitigation can be enhanced by capitalizing on that articulated interaction. This helps identify potential risk contagion, the very risk contagion that was at the heart of the recent global financial crisis. It also brings new insights about risks to your organization, including the effectiveness of your controls for the prevention, detection, and remediation of the risks, and the most efficient ways to achieve these outcomes. Let's turn to some indicative examples of the kind of risks dynamic risk assessment uncover and how they could impact the audit. Firstly, covering the risk posed by misunderstanding or overlooking changes in customer preferences. These could severely distort growth assumptions and revenue recognition. Secondly, discovering a weakness in controls over data and cybersecurity, which could result in loss of reputation. This, in turn, could erode future earnings potential, critical to the substantiation of capitalized intangible assets. Thirdly, looking at the risk of over-dependencies on key suppliers. In volatile economic conditions, this could easily lead to a disruption of the supply chain, with adverse downstream business consequences. Finally, assessing the risk posed by a combination of slowing growth rates, breached loan covenants, and downgraded credit. If these all happened concurrently, there would be a danger of non-compliance with regulations. KPMG's dynamic risk assessment employs a KPMG patented proprietary methodology to identify, connect, and visualize risk in 4 dimensions. It marks a groundbreaking shift in risk identification that demonstrates our ability to help you stay a step ahead, today and in the future.